Here we are again. Just before I start, I just wanted to show you how I set things up in the Finder, and there's a little bit of work there. It's important that all your media files are all kept in one location, and we'll save the Photoshop document into the same location as well. And that way, like you can see, I've got a folder here called To Roto with my videos inside here. I'm going to save the Photoshop document into here as well, and that will mean that this folder here if I take it away with me, will contain everything that I need to carry on with my project elsewhere. So it might not be so relevant if you've got it all on your own machine and you're taking your machine around, but if you're moving from machine to machine like you might do in a university situation, it's better to keep all your media and your project files in one location. Alright, so I've started up Photoshop, and here is my welcome screen. You can see some of the other little things I've been working on recently. What we would like to do is we'd like to go create new, and in the new create new dialog box there's a few different there are a few different presets that we can use, and we're going to choose film and video, and we're going to set our film video to HDTV 1080p, which is 1920 pixels by 1080 pixels. It's at 72 dpi. Now I'm just going to change this one, just for our working resolution, up to 150 dpi. So I'm just going to change that one, and dpi is dots per inch, which is what that is there. The orientation mode is portrait, which is great, and I'm going to give the document a name. I'm going to call it Skeggs Roto. Alright, so we're going to create that, and that's given me a 1920 by 1080 document that is 1920 pixels along this way by 1080 pixels this way at a resolution of 150 dots per inch, which is great. Now before we start importing our video and drawing on it, which is going to be so much fun, the first thing we need to do is just do a little bit of setup work. So I'm going to go up to Window, and I'm going to go to Workspace. I'm going to change my workspace to the Motion workspace. And you can see that what it does is it adds this little timeline down the bottom here and makes a few other adjustments. It's got rid of my paths layer for me, which I don't really need, my paths palette rather. And then my screen up here in the center. Now the timeline, there isn't anything in it yet, but the timeline will go from 0 in time forwards. So 0 up to 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, that kind of thing. And we're going to be working in seconds. We've still got our brushes, our regular palettes up the top left here. And now the next thing we'd like to do is introduce the video that we've got. So what we'll do is we're going to go Layer, Video Layers, New Video Layer from File. And we're going to go to this folder that I've already got set up, which has got To Roto. I'll grab the candles one that we made in the previous tutorial that I just did. Go open, and it's going to open up this video. So there it is there. It's going to say here that I've got a new video layer called Layer 1, and it's got a special little icon with a film strip on it, and that's how you can tell that it's a video layer. Alright, the next thing is you'll notice that the video is not really the same size. The video that we've captured is not really the same size as the video that we want to work to. Now because we're drawing, I don't mind doing it this way. We're just going to scale it up in Photoshop. So to do that, we're going to go Command T or Edit, Free Transform, and it's going to say, well look, it's a video layer, and if you convert it, we'll have to make it a Smart Object layer. And we'll go, yeah, okay, that's fine, convert it. So it's still a video layer, but just a different type. And now we can hold down the Shift and scale it up to something like that, and hit return. And now we've got our video scaled up nicely. And you can see here we've got if you grab the current time indicator, that you can scrub your video back and forth. Now a few things to note as we're going along. Let me first try to find the rest of my window. Where's it gone? Hold on, let me just fit it. There we go. A few things to note. Now down the bottom here is a little mountains to, I don't know how to describe it, but it allows us to zoom in and out. This is how we're going to zoom in and out of the timeline, and you'll need to do that a fair bit. Alright, so that's your zoom. The next thing is for the timeline panel, this one here, there's a little fly out menu just here. This little fly out menu, and we need to set a few settings in there. The first one is loop playback. We want to enable that loop playback. The next one is enable timeline shortcuts. Now enabling them means adding a little tick to them. So if you'll see, if it's not ticked, we want to see it ticked. The next one after that is enable auto grouping of clips. We can have that on. And then the last thing I want to just have a look at is set timeline frame rate. Now this one is super important. And let me just bring it over here. It's just disappeared. Just one second. I'm just going to grab it. This one is super important. Now at the moment, my video is going at 29.97 seconds, frames per second. And what we want is we want to draw between 8 to 12 frames per second. Now the more frames you draw, the smoother the animation. If you're looking to hold lines. But I'd suggest that, maybe 12. I like to go at 12, to be honest. I'm going to start at 12. So setting the timeline to 12 frames just here is probably going to be a good place to start. Now, 8 times, I think I've got 10 seconds or thereabouts. So 12 times 10 is 120 frames. So I think I did put up a frame calculation in the last video. Here's a spoken one. So we're looking at 120 different drawings to get us to a finished sort of product at 10 seconds long. So if you think about that in your head, you'll realize that actually that's quite a lot of work, depending on whether you're doing cross-hatching or straight line work or line and fill work or what have you. Anyway, now we've got our layer set. I can use my arrow keys, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's my left and right arrow keys to move between my frames. Now the next thing we'd like to do is, because we want to keep the drawing separate from the video, is we would like to go layer, new blank video layer. And we're going to draw into this layer, so that way we keep good separation between our video layer that's actually got the video in it and the animation layer. So I'm going to go new blank video layer, and here I've got a new layer. Now I can rename them here and call this one Roto, and this one I can call video. And what I like to do, which I think is a smart idea, is to lock that video layer off. So now I can't really, if I've got the background layer off, really the only layer I can draw into is this rotoscoping layer. And now this is the fun bit. We can grab our brush. So I'm going to grab a brush. I'll size it down. So left and right bracket to size up and down. And then we can begin to draw. Pick a color. I'll just go D. I'm going to go with white to start with. Pick a color, and you can check a few of the other brush options. I'll go over these in class with you, I think. And you can just start to draw. Just like so. Now the main things in this frame are the cake, the candle, and we'll just pull this down a little bit. So we need that less now. We want more drawing space, don't we? And Gemella, of course. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the first frame, then I'm going to show you how to set the onion skins so that you can see the last frame you're drawn on the next frame that you're about to draw. Whoops. So just get in and do those hands. So let's just keep it. I'm going to keep this frame quite simple. Whoopsie, that was a bit of a add in the table. All right, so there's pretty much a first frame, I would say, just sort of loosely blocked in. They come off like that. I'll just get those candles actually. You can use your rubber, of course. All right. Now we can turn the, here's a good trick. You can turn the video layer off, and I've been drawing in white, so everything is white, but we can select that last layer and just invert it or fill it with black. So fill it with black, edit fill with black, and now you can see the actual drawing that we've created from the video layer. That's the drawing there. Probably if, you know, if I was doing a proper job, I'd go with a finer pencil here, a finer line. It's a bit too thick for me, but that's not a bad start. So now let's select that layer again. I'm going to show you how to turn on the onion skin settings, which aren't the greatest settings on this particular program for onion skins, but they can work. So we'll go. We're going to go onion skin settings. Just go and grab them. They've gone over here. Onion skin settings. Now this is how many frames before it's going to show. I like to see one before. This is the frames after. I'm going to put 0. The frame spacing is 1, so 1 frame at a time, and this kind of works. So you can see I've got it in multiply mode. And now if I go OK, you can see that between this frame and this frame, what I drew before. So you can see there's the cake there. So I want to get that cake line. If I want to hold that cake line, this is becomes more important if you really want to like hold lines, certain lines. There's the candle line there. There is the plate. Just get to there is the arm line I've drawn. Some fingers. Dress, neck. I didn't draw her neck before, so I'll go in and get that. Her lips, nostrils. I did a line for her eyes, her eyebrows, her eyes. There we go. So if you want the line to hold, this is the way to do it. Otherwise you're going to get what we call a lot of line jitter, which isn't great. So just do something like that. There we go. Get that. Oops. Get that chair. And the table. Down here. That's looking pretty good actually. Get that. Alrighty. Table. Table. There we are. Alright. Now let's turn our layer off, and you can see we've got, so you can see that where I've missed certain things, but we're getting nice frame hold actually. So let's just turn our layer back on and get the side of her face. There it is there. Beautiful. Great. And her eye, of course. Very important. Alrighty. There we go. So I'm going to pause the video and stop, and then continue drawing, and when I've got a few drawings in place, I'm going to come back and show you how to render out your video. All right, thank you.